Hello everyone, Ariel Helwani here alongside Drew McIntyre. You know this man. Another edition of Ariel Helwani Meets. This time we're talking to one of the biggest stars in the world of professional wrestling, the one and only Drew McIntyre, the former champ. Champ, hello, how are you? Everything good?
Marvelous, marvelous. It's been a fun old week in New York here. I love the location for
Yes.
an interview here. I've only had 2 minutes to take it in, but it's pretty cool, different, outside the box. Love it.
Well, that's what we do here at BT Sport, as you know. We like to think outside the box, do the best, especially for the likes of you. You've been kind to us over the years. I know that you're a fan of wrestling. You grew up watching wrestling. I'm putting you on the spot here, but favorite MSG moment as a fan? There's so many, right? There's Snuka off the cage. There's, Owen Hart, Bret Hart. I mean, we could go on and on, but favorite New York wrestling moment?
And since I'm on the spot, I got to pluck something out of my head. Let's go with Cactus Jack, Triple H.
Oh wow, that's
from
a good one. Yes.
Royal Rumble 2000. That was about the time where I was very serious about starting to train to wrestle, and I was obsessively watching everything I could get my hands on. I mean, I had been my whole life, but especially at that point, I was 14, 15 years old. I started training at 15, and I was very convinced this is what I'm going to do. And I remember how obsessively I was watching everything and studying everything, and I was big on ECW at the time. I remember just how much Hunter's character had evolved at the time, and how cool the Cactus Jack character was, how cool the build for the match was, and how good the match itself was. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to have a match like that one day.
Wow. Do you feel like you've had matches like that at this point?
To a certain extent, I think I physically had the matches, especially if you watch like myself and Sheamus in the Thunderdome, where we're murdering each other. We don't even need the weapons, we just punch each other in the face, and it's violent enough. But from a story and character building perspective, to that level, I think I'm still searching for that.
Okay. Do you feel like you're on the cusp of that?
Yeah.
You feel like you're getting close to those legendary matches that people will be talking about in 10, 15 years?
Yeah, that's the thing, is just getting your reps in, building your momentum, building your equity, and finding that right dancing partner who's in the same position or even better, in a higher position, so you've got to step up to them. And I feel like Drew McIntyre, as much as I've evolved, as much as I've been able to step up and cement myself at the top of the card, I've still got a ways to go to where I want to be, and that's way past top guy status, legendary status.
By the way, when you were a youngster, how did you watch ECW in Scotland? Like, were you a tape trader?
I was not a tape trader. There used to be a 30-minute show on Bravo TV. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember Thunder Kiss 65 was the theme song at the time. My brother and I would stay awake till about 2 a.m. to watch that 30-minute show till they got the television deal. And we stayed awake and watched that also. But it was much like WWE pay-per-views. We were up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to watch the show.
Right. These days people will watch them on BT Sport.
Yes, they will. Makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
Check it out on BT Sport.
Yeah.
Also, Mania tickets are available. Get them on SeatGeek.
Yeah, there you go.
Get that out of the way early.
Well done, well done. How would you describe 2021 for Drew McIntyre?
I reckon going into 2021, I'd kind of shown everybody that I was capable of performing at the top level. That was after working with Randy Orton, who was, I always said, my joker, somebody who's an absolute legend. But at that particular time, after working with Edge, somehow, as good as he was, he got better. And I knew as I became champion, when I get to Randy, I have to be able to step up in the microphone, step up in the ring, be able to prove I can go toe-to-toe with him, and that I deserve to be champion. And if I can't keep up with Randy, I don't deserve to be champion. I remember I won the title back in November 2020, went into 2021 as champion, and really had cemented myself as the face of Raw and probably WWE at the time, the times we were in. And some of the matches I had during that period, if I can remember exactly, like the series with Sheamus, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, that's some matches I'm really proud of, but I've still got a ways to go. I've just started scratching the surface as far as I'm concerned.
Was there any part of you that felt, I heard this kind of bandied about a little bit, that maybe you held on to the belt too long and you needed a bit of a fresh coat of paint on the character, on the rivalry? As sometimes when you're the one chasing the belt, it's different than when you're the one at the top of the mountain where people are chasing you. Did you feel that, or is that a ludicrous statement?
No, it's not ludicrous. I felt like it's weird because generally the good guy is the one chasing it. That's where the excitement is. I felt for a long period that as champion, that's where I was meant to be. And the chase was exciting from Rumble to Mania when I beat Brock. But there was a period where I felt like, you know what, I feel like I'm meant to be right now. I'm meant to be champion. And during the Lashley stuff, perhaps the way we set up the matches, perhaps the narrative of Drew keeps getting title matches that we were pushing for some reason didn't exactly help during that period. So perhaps I could have got out of the title scene a little quicker after I lost the first match and didn't have a couple of follow-up matches. and started just the rebuild again. That's what I've been looking for a long time, is just kind of hitting that reset button and starting from scratch again and reproving myself. And that's why with the SmackDown move, it felt like the perfect time to just go, all right, we know what Drew can do, we know what I'm capable of. Let's hit that reset button and reprove myself all over again, which I'm happy to do. I've been doing this 20 years. This is 52 weeks a year. I'm a patient man.
Right. And we'll get to the SmackDown move in a moment. When's the last time you watched the Brock match?
A few months ago. I believe I had to watch it for some commentary.
How do you feel when you watch it?
It's pretty cool. It reminds me of how I felt while filming it. We filmed it in advance, and the feeling of, I can't believe this is WrestleMania, there's nobody here. We had such a skeleton crew, obviously, at the height of the COVID situation. And I remember the feeling of being backstage and glancing over before I made my entrance and seeing Brock pacing around and thinking, oh my goodness, there's Brock Lesnar. He's a champion, I'm about to fight for the championship. And then something turned in my head and went, you know, this is it, this is WrestleMania, this is the world's escape right now. You're the main event, you're the reason with your story you can make them smile right now. And I was in the zone, that feeling I was in the ring, the fact that I beat him so quickly, and that feeling after the match with that famous moment where I climb towards the screen on all fours and reach out and say thank you to everybody, comes flooding back as I'm watching it. But the coolest thing of all is when I watch the end and the referee raises my hand and I have the title, I think about how I actually watched it at home with the rest of the world. And as the referee presented me the title, my wife presented me the title on the sofa, and we'd done this whole thing together.
Wow.
And she's the reason that I was able to become the man I was supposed to be as I worked on becoming the wrestler I was supposed to be.
Wow, you just gave me chills. That was beautiful. Listen, I mean, you don't need to hear it from me. I remember it vividly. I have 2 young boys, and there was nothing to do. And so for the days leading up to it, we were all like, there was no sports, right? You guys, it felt truly like the world was watching you. And I was just going to ask if you felt that pressure as well. Like, of course, it's not live, it's taped and all that stuff, but there was no entertainment whatsoever, live, not live, whatever, that's fresh, that people hadn't seen before, and then reruns, other than you guys that weekend. That's an incredible amount of pressure to have on your shoulders. Did you feel that?
I guess kind of. Butterflies was more what I had. You know, after all this time and everything I've been through in my career, I thrive at any opportunity I can to entertain. And this was a situation where, like, we really had to entertain. People needed entertainment. And I remember thinking, this is the moment people are going to remember. And like you mentioned, having the Kofi moment, having so many superstars, having that big moment with the title and the fans all around them, I did say to myself, you know what? Those moments happen, they're awesome, they might get featured in a video package here and there, but nobody's going to forget the moment when the world stood still and Drew McIntyre held up that title.
Now, you have this situation where you're the face of Raw, and you're carrying Raw, right? You're the man for many months, a year, and now you're over on SmackDown. Were you happy about that? Were you happy about the reset, or did you want to stay on Raw?
I was in 2 minds. I didn't find out till pretty late. And
when you say pretty late, like, did you find out on the broadcast, or do they tell you beforehand?
Yeah, no, just a little before.
Okay.
But
I don't know, maybe
but my feelings were still the same as I got interviewed on SmackDown as how I felt prior. As wow, okay, you know, Raw felt like home. I kind of felt like a traitor when I got told the news. You know, this is where I returned to WWE after my NXT run. It's where I finally found myself. It's where I became champion, fulfilled the prophecy. It's where I became the face of Raw. It's Drew McIntyre had become synonymous with Raw. You think of Drew McIntyre, you think of Raw, and vice versa. And now I was going to be on SmackDown. And I thought, okay, let's look at the positives here, because, you know, I kind of initially thought I wanted to stay on Raw. It's a fresh coat of paint, for one. And this is where it all began. You know, when I was a 22-year-old, I came to America. I was on SmackDown in my 3rd week in America, the fastest developmental superstar to debut on TV. It was a bit too quick, so they put me back in developmental. Then I returned as a chosen one. Had my run on SmackDown, everything was going to plan. I was going to be champion, I was going to be the man, and boom, everything crashed down around me, and it all happened on SmackDown in my early 20s. It's a part of my history I now get to rewrite. I almost basically have come full circle back to the beginning. If you're ever a fan of Quantum Leap, if you remember back in the day, Dr. Sam Beckett would leap from life to life, trying to make right what once went wrong. I have a chance to leap back into my previous self and make right what once went wrong, so I'm pretty excited about that.
That is poetic. I like that. It's a beautiful way to look at things. Again, speaking of dads, I saw a great video recently where you reunited with your father. You were back home, and I believe it was the first time since the pandemic that you had seen him, correct?
Yeah.
How many months?
2 years.
2 years. What was that like for you?
Awesome. You know, BT caught it on camera, so that probably avoided some tears for me, because I knew it was being filmed. My dad can't help himself, he's going to cry no matter what. a big emotional guy. But yeah, that was so cool, and everyone caught me off guard, had them in the room. I was wondering why they were dodging my calls all day. I was like, it's only been 2 years, I guess we just avoid me, that's fine. But BT had them stashed in a room, and I came in, and it was a cool moment. It was cool to get that reunion on video. Great to get my nephew on video as well. I've only seen him 3 times. He's finally started talking. He's got his mother's accent, and he just didn't want to see me at all. It's like, "Is your Uncle Drew?" Like, "No, I don't want to talk to him." With his big, thick English accent. So that was nice to get that on video, I guess. I'm the guy that climbs out the television every couple of years, so I guess I understand why he's terrified.
But it is amazing. Like the last time you saw them, you weren't champ, right? You hadn't fulfilled that dream, and now you see like that embrace. And I know we got to see what we got to see on television, but were there moments off screen where you really got to talk to your dad about?
Oh, yeah, lots of moments. We sat down for a while, and obviously when I saw them, it was the show day. It was the final day of the European tour. It was in Glasgow of all places. I was main eventing against Jinder, somebody who I'm very close with, had his own journey, and we're in that last match in the arena where I went to university. I grew up 30 minutes down the street. Wow. My family's in the crowd. My wife flew over. She's in the crowd. Such an amazing show. And afterwards, we got a chance to sit down, talk, relive the past couple of years, and speak about, my dad's got better memory than me, speak about certain moments, speak about family stuff more than anything. And then the next day was the coolest one of all. So my buddy had arranged a private room at a restaurant in my hometown in Ayr, and I got my dad there, his wife there, my brother, his wife, my aunt, uncle, cousin, just all my family, the closest people to me in that room. And we just sat there for like 4 or 5 hours. It was like the scene in It when everyone gets together for the first time in a while, minus all the crazy monster stuff, and we all caught up, and it was really, really cool, and some tears were shed.
You have talked in the past about when your mother passed away, you went into a deep depression. Yeah. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Alcohol and everything like that. How often, like in moments like that, how difficult is it that you can't have her there, that you can't share those moments, champion, reuniting? I would imagine that's a big topic of discussion as well, right?
Yeah, it is. I know she's there. I know she's watching. But when we get together, we do talk about her. My aunt and I can lock eyes. We don't have to say anything. We just know. We almost have a conversation without even speaking. My aunt was her sister, her best friend, and knew her better than anybody. So, yeah, I think about her a lot. Yeah. I think about her every day, actually. She crosses my mind, but especially those moments that I just wish she could be there.
Is it hard, like when you opened up about that, about the stuff that you dealt with, was that a hard thing for you? Or was it something that you felt like you needed to tell people about? Because I'm sure there are other people who go through this as well. And when you see Drew McIntyre talking about these things, how it affects him, it can help others. Like, what was the reason behind opening up and telling the world about that?
I mean, it was hard to open up at all. It took my wife dragging out of me to start expressing my feelings more. I always talk about that now, is not holding it inside and letting it out. Because I used to hold it inside and I'd act out in different ways. And it's not healthy to keep it all inside. But I guess speaking about it more publicly, I spoke about it extensively in the book. I remember sitting down with the missus and talking about the book, because I didn't think to myself, what the world needs right now is this. I was 35 at the time, 35-year-old Scottish wrestler's story during a pandemic. It was, okay, wrestling's the foundation, but let's tell my real story. Let's be honest and open about absolutely everything. Including my ups and downs, including the drinking stuff, and including my mum's story, and how difficult it was when I lost her, and how I did act out, how I kept it inside, how if I told somebody at the company, they would have got me the help I needed, but I just stayed within the system, just acting out, drinking constantly, eventually getting fired. It was the best thing in the world for me, because I had to step out, get perspective. Luckily, I met my wife a year later, and I know my mum, put her in my path. And that was the big thing for the book, is just telling everybody, you got to get those feelings out. Trust me, you can explode, and sometimes people do things they can't take back. I have a close friend who took his life a few years ago in Scotland. Seemed like he was on top of the world. Seems like he had everything going for him. Had some opportunities coming his way, and took his life one night. And all of us are sitting wondering what happened, why. And it's because he didn't open up and tell us, because nobody knew why. But obviously something was going on in here, and you got to get that out. It's just not healthy. When I tore my bicep, I got surgery for it. It's just the same up here. If you're not healthy up here, you need help for it.
You had no idea your friend was going through any troubles?
No idea.
That's an amazing thing that you just said about your mom putting your wife in your past. So you met your wife when you were at your lowest?
Yeah.
Wow.
A year after I got... No, sorry. It's not a year after I got released. It was a year after I lost my mom. Literally a year later.
Okay, and sometimes people say like when you're not in a good place, like good things don't happen to you. And so, what attracted your wife to you, right? In your mind,
No idea.
because it
That's
sounds like
such
you were
a
not
degenerate.
right.
Yeah,
Why did she fall for you?
I honestly do not know. I look back at the way I was, the way I acted, my sense of normal, because I'd grown up in such a different world. I came from university to America and was part of WWE, and was in all these unique situations that a lot of people my age would not be in, and my version of normal was far from reality. And the things I would say and the way I would act, I don't know how she put up with it, but she stayed the course. She believed in me. She believed I could be more than I was, and she helped me finally become the man I was supposed to be. And I always say, without my wife, there's no Drew McIntyre standing right here talking to you. There's no Drew McIntyre in the position he's in WWE. There's no Drew McIntyre WWE Champion. Because as good as I might get at the wrestling aspect and worked hard outside the company, got better in the ring, articulating myself, improving my character, etc., unless I found myself as a man, I'm useless.
At your lowest, like how much are you drinking a day?
It wasn't every day. It wasn't like I was an alcoholic who was drinking every day. It was more binge drinking, like I drink after the show because that's what you do, and then you've got a day off, so you got to see the guys when you're back. When I was living in Tampa at the time, that's what you do, and you fall into these habits. And realistically, looking back, it was more like habits than anything, than addiction, I think, and it's how I was dealing with my problems. But it's a lot healthier just not having it in my life.
Right. So what is your relationship now with alcohol?
It's just better keeping it out of my life.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's only brought me negative things, so why bring it in my life?
Right.
Especially binge drinking like that. Like, plus you feel terrible. You're hungover for 3-4 days. I look back and go, what was wrong with you?
Meeting your wife, I'm sure, is part of the turning point in your life. But is there like a moment, something that happened that really got you on the right track again?
I mean, there's a time period where I broke my neck. I was in the UK. I took a move I should never have taken. I broke 2 vertebrae in my neck, and it allowed me to be home for 8 weeks. And I'd never been stationary for 8 weeks in my life. I'd always been at school, at university. I came straight to WWE from university. I was always told where to be, what to do, and then I was straight into the independents, becoming the busiest wrestler in the world outside of WWE. And this was the first time I was stationary, and that's when I kind of had the proper sit-down talk with the wife and was able to process everything and was not worrying about going to the next show. And aside the doctor telling me, hey, if this went a little bit this way or a little bit that way, you wouldn't be doing wrestling anymore, you got very fortunate. But her also telling me, like, look at you right now, you're about to crash and burn. I was like, babe, look at me right now, I'm the top wrestler outside of WWE right now. How can you possibly say anything negative? It's like, you're burning the candle at both ends. You're going to crash and burn eventually, it's inevitable, and I'm going to leave your ass. And that's what, we had that real serious conversation during the time. And then I spoke to my family about it, and I told them, listen, I'm going to change some things about myself. And they were very supportive, because I think they were a little bit worried when they'd seen me at times and how I was acting at times, because I was back and forth to the UK and Scotland all the time during that period. That was outside of WWE, so I was seeing my family all the time. And even though I was present, I wasn't always fully present, and not something I'm proud of, but they were very happy to hear that. And it was thanks to, I guess, a broken neck and my wife that I was able to finally get everything together. And I remember those words when she said, like, you'd be doing so much better. I was like, how can I do any better? Like, I'm the best outside of WWE. And she's like, you could be the best in WWE. I got myself together, I got back on the road, my body got better instantly, and I was back in WWE in 3 months.
You know, when you're in a position like this, it seems like everything's going great for you, you're a champion, but you still have moments where you're feeling down, and maybe when you're now back on the road and, I don't know, you're missing home. What do you do to get yourself in a positive place?
I mean, I have moments when I get down. I think everybody does. But I feel so grateful that we're back on the road. I'm grateful for, like, so I'm always about finding the positives and negatives. Like, during the pandemic time, and
I can learn a lot from you, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we're gonna get you a glass half full eventually. But during the pandemic, you know, when I was home all the time, even though I was working once a week, I remember a lot of couples got, you know, divorced during that time, and I was like, oh, I wonder if we're gonna make it. And then we got stronger during that period. So that's, you know, one positive thing. It really enhanced our relationship. So it was hard to travel away again, but this is, you know, where I was supposed to be, where I was born to be, was on the road. It's where WWE is supposed to be, in front of our fans. And thankfully she's so understanding, she gets that. And when I am down, when I'm homesick, I miss her, the cats, whatever, you know, they're just a phone call away. And I'll make a point of jumping back home for a day if I can. You know, I had a pretty crazy few weeks, and I've always said as well that my exact words to WWE was, give me the Cena schedule, I'm your guy, I want it, give it to me. And now I'm getting that chance, and she knew that all along, and we're very grateful that I'm being given so much responsibility and so much trust for the company. And I jumped to the European tour, and then I went to Budapest to the MTV Awards and presented an award there. Then I get back home for maybe 20 hours. I could have come straight to New York for Survivor Series week, but I went home just so I could see her in the cast, and that's awesome, and she appreciates that, and I'm happy to do it, but she understands, right? Go back out and get them, and I'm back in for Survivor Series week, all the media, then the SmackDown, the live event, the pay-per-view, then the Raw, and it's go, 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 but this is what I've asked for, this is what I've dreamed of, and I'll never complain about it.
If you could script 2022 for you, how would you map out 2022?
Ooh, if I'm booking it?
Yeah, you're the booker man. You got the pencil.
Booker man, all right. I think I would stay in a similar track I'm on right now, even though, like people say, Drew, everyone knows who you are. I feel, and my attitude is always day one. It's always about reintroducing myself. There's always someone new watching. I would keep on this path of reintroducing Drew McIntyre, what I'm about today, what I'm capable of. I would like to get in, a couple of significant feuds throughout 2022 with some stakes. I would love to do something with Sheamus again. We've got that real personal history with fans there, and I believe there's something else deeper we can really delve into with that. And when the time is right, and the momentum builds, and the equity's there, and I know everybody keeps saying to me, we're just going to do Drew and Roman. I said, why would you do Drew and Roman? Right now, he's got all the momentum in the world, he's here. I've lost a couple of big matches. I'm man enough to admit I'm here. I got to keep working, I got to keep building that momentum. I've got to make that match as big as possible. I don't want to go anywhere near him until the time is right, and the time is not right.
Okay, interesting, because I would expect you to say Roman first.
I think most people would. Yeah, but no, I'm a patient man. Like I said, 52 weeks a year. I won't want to jump into that until the time is right. He's got so much momentum right now. He's doing the best work of his career, and before he started doing the work he's doing right now, the character shift he's doing right now, he was already the guy that had about 10 years of equity in main event and multiple WrestleManias in a row. So I just want that time to really build Drew McIntyre to where he needs to be, to make that match as big as possible. And since I'm the booker, man, let's do it at Mania.
Okay, so that was my next question. Who are you wrestling against at Mania in 2022, if it was up to you?
I just booked it there.
You just did, okay.
Yeah, let's just keep it.
Is that enough time? I didn't know if you were talking about like in a year, Roman. You're talking about like in 4 or 5 months. You feel like it would be appropriate? Yeah.
Since I'm booking it, yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course. I would imagine you have enough clout that they're open to your ideas, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll always suggest my ideas. Doesn't mean they're going to happen. But,
Sure,
unlike when I was younger, I'm not afraid to express myself and say, what do you think of this? That's the thing that some people go, I don't like that. It's like, okay. Do you have another suggestion? No. I'll always have another suggestion, and we'll go with what makes best sense for the story.
And right now, dare I say, the wrestling business is more interesting than it's been in 20 years, right? I think competition is great for everyone. The fans love it. You're watching, you're going back and forth. Do you feel that as well? Like, do you feel like the stakes are a little bit bigger now? There's a little more, pep in everyone's step because, everyone's, we're trying to recreate the Monday Night Wars all over again, right? Do you feel that?
We should try and recreate the Monday Night Wars.
Well, I am in my mind.
Yeah, that's okay. You can do that. But for me personally, as somebody who, when I got released in 2014, was a big part of growing independent wrestling and growing environments for people to make a full-time living outside of WWE, I'm just so proud to see how far it's come. It is unbelievable how far it's come, and that's like one of the things I was most proud of is where I went. I helped grow business. Like in Scotland, we went from 1,000 people at my first show to 2,000 to 4,000 to 7,000. Wow. And in America, at my base company, Australia, at my base company, and all across the world, I saw business get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now to see how many different places there are to work, how many of my friends are making a full-time living, how different all the different shows are, it's the best time to be a wrestler, to be able to make a full-time living out with WWE, but also as a fan, you're unlimited options right now, and it's absolutely awesome. We'll still get the best talent though.
I love it.
That'll be the clip everyone uses.
Yeah, I love it, exactly. Of course, you got to say that. Last thing, are you a New Year's resolution guy?
Not so much.
Okay, so you don't have one.
No.
What would you like for yourself in 2022?
Happiness.
Happiness. That's what we all want.
Yeah, it's key to life. Happiness and love. They're both free as well.
I mean, I've learned from you today about, glass half full, happiness. You've taught me a lot in this interview.
Yeah,
so
we're going to get you there. It may take some work. We're going to get that glass half full. You're not doing too bad for yourself.
All right,
what I find is when you call some of your friends back home and you start finding out more about the real world and what they're doing and digging ditches, and you go, things ain't so bad for me.
Well said. Congrats on a tremendous year, on everything you've done up until this point, and I can't wait to see you main event WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. And we'll say he said it here first on Ariel Helwani Meets. Well done. Thank you so much. All the best. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.